Hello everybody, it's Aaran back from Screenstars, and I'm here once again to bring you another review for Geek Legion of Doom. And today I'm bringing you a review for the 2018 thriller movie Dark Punch, a film that is directed by Nadim Tabarian and stars Joe Mayes, primarily Joe Mayes. And this film is like a psychological thriller that is almost like a character analysis of a deranged young man that spends his days going around assaulting and robbing people at will, and this is how he spends his days, and we follow him around as he's doing this. It's not documentary style or anything. It almost feels like a found footage film, but it's not. And we follow him day to day as he lives in motel rooms, robs people just for their money, just to live through the day, steals their cars, assaults people quite brutally, and seems to have no morals or values. This guy says very little, and just basically spends his days living and eating and sleeping, and then waking up realizing he doesn't have any money for that day, and then going out and assaulting somebody else, targeting people at random, and doing vicious acts of violence just to basically rob them. And that's this movie basically. There is a point in this movie where he has a bit of a breakdown, in a sense of something happens. He tracks a target into these woods. It doesn't pan out the way he expects, and it kind of opens his eyes and sends him on a bit of a downward spiral. And later on in the movie, he is confronted by the sins of his past, shall we say. And that's kind of the movie in the nutshell here. Like I said, this is a very, very low budget film, so you can't judge a movie like this in the same way as you would judge a polished cinema release, for example, because they simply just don't have the budget. For example, this film is primarily 90% of it is in black and white. Now, whether that's a budget choice or an artistic choice, I'll let you decide. I'm sure the director and filmmakers said it was an artistic choice, but I suspect it was probably more of a budget choice, because I can't see really what point what point it was being in black and white, unless I could understand it if it was in black and white, and then when there were scenes of blood, there was very, very red blood and things like that. I kind of get that artistic point, but there was none of that really. This film is, with a film like this with very, very little budget, you've got to control what you can control, and there's too many errors in this film, in the sense of he commits an assault during the film. He gets cut by a knife. He wears this white vest throughout the film. He gets cut. There's blood everywhere. He cleans himself up, and then, lo and behold, the next scene is walking around in a white vest where there's no blood on it. It doesn't show anywhere that he's got a wardrobe full of white vests on the go. He's not Bruce Willis from Die Hard, who's got an unlimited supply of white vests going on. And there's even a scene in the movie where you see him putting on a bloodied vest, and you can clearly see it. And then as he leaves his motel room to go to his car, he's wearing a normal vest again. It's these little errors, I think, when you've got budgets like this, you can't. These are the things you should control. And it plays with the sense of realism here, in the sense that it doesn't make sense. He does things that nobody would do. For example, he sets fire to a car with his car literally nose to nose with the other car. He sets his other car on fire, one of his victims, stands there and watches it for a good few seconds before he gets in his own car and drives off. Things that you wouldn't do, and this constantly happens through the movie. It kind of plays with reality really, and he does things that don't make sense, and you can't argue it's because he's deranged, and he's not meant to make sense, because he doesn't act deranged in a sense of he's not manic and running around like a lunatic. He seems quite controlled in what he's doing. Early on, you don't really understand what the film's about, what direction it's going in. It doesn't make it clear. It doesn't have really a threaded story that you can follow. There's some audio issues. It's not the highest quality audio, but again, it's very low budget, so You can't expect much more than that. And it shows surprisingly little, this film, for a film that focuses on, you know, these brutal assaults that this person is doing. It doesn't show enough, and what it does show, you could tell very clearly that it's false and poorly choreographed, I suppose you could say. It doesn't feel brutal. It doesn't actually feel like there's any impact at all taking place. So I think with the small budget that they had, I think they could have controlled things a bit better and made it work a bit better. I think the central performance is a bit mixed here from the main character here. When it's just him and he's like staring into the distance or things like that, when it's just him on his own, it works better. When he has to interact with another character, his acting prowess or lack of acting prowess unfortunately stands out. I'll be honest, I think there is some potential here with this actor, but there are times in this film where he's inexperienced in regards to acting. Is very, very clear to see. So I'm going to give this film a 5 out of 10. I'm being a bit generous, I think, here with this score. I do think for a low budget film it's a good attempt, and I do think it's got some potential in here from the things that I'm seeing, but it's just not good enough quality to get a score any higher than that. So I do hope you've enjoyed this review, and thank you very much for watching it.